Well, we may be live. Then again, it's hard to tell because this has been very difficult. It's like, have you ever done anything where it just degraded and degraded and degraded and everything you did just got worse? That's kind of how this has gone. And right now it's degraded, which I didn't know was going to happen, but it's blocked out the chat. I can't see any chat, so I don't know if anybody's out there. I really just can't imagine having so many issues. So I'm going to try to access my YouTube channel and see if I can see the chat on this. Yeah, I just don't know. Really don't know. I'm sure you can see me. I can't see anything on my screen at the moment. Why is it doing this? All right, I'll just try a different way. This is just unbelievable. Never really had so many issues in one day, I don't think, in my whole life ever, as I've had on the computer today. Just crazy. So, I'm hoping I can get to this video and see the chat, but I can't. I don't know how I did that before. Okay, well, sorry, but there's no chat unless this decides to just get friendly, and it's not. It also says no viewers, so I guess, but that could just be an error. So if you're out there, I can't tell you're out there. I'm just trying to see if the mic is going to freeze up and fail again. And right on cue, there's my wife with some kind of equipment running right by the window. It's like it never, ever fails. I don't think that's ever failed. I really couldn't even tell you how many times I tried to start this live test, and it kept saying it wouldn't connect to the server. Now, it's never done that. I've done a couple of hundred live things, and it's never done that. But it would not connect today. Apparently, my IP address got switched on my PC, and that's what caused that, apparently. But then somehow that didn't connect the chat back up whenever we went live. So I don't get it. It just doesn't quit. This is not even what I was trying to test. My first guitar was a loner, an old friend my grandpa let me keep. Back when I was learning how to play just like the boys in Tennessee. And I would sit up late at night and pick it until my fingers turned green. And I learned how to make her talk on them black diamond strings. My Uncle Don showed me 3 chords, and Larry Thomas taught me how to play. And he showed me the G-run that I'm still using today. And I thought it surely must be magic, the way he made it ring. But he said there ain't no secret, son, it's just them black diamond strings. Now I don't know if he still make 'em, then were the best. I forgot what key I was in. And a good time didn't cost too much then, $2.95 a set. Back before I left Fayellen to chase my hillbilly dreams, all it took to make me happy was an old guitar and black diamond strings. Now I've been to the mountaintop, and I had my share of troubles too. If I could do it all again, Lord, well, I know just what that I would do. If I could have just one wish, I'd go back in a time machine to the day I learned to pick the wildwood flower on them black diamond strings. Now, I don't know if they still make 'em, but back then they were the best. And a good time didn't cost too much then, just $2.95 a set. Back before I left Fayellen to chase my hillbilly dreams, all it took to make me happy was an old guitar and black diamond strings. Back before I left Fayellen to chase my make it big dreams, all it took to make me happy was this old box of black diamond strings. Wonderful song written by Mr. Larry Cordell of the Lonesome Standard Time Bluegrass Band. He's the one that also wrote the Highway 40 Blues. Man, he's quite a songwriter. He's written some other great songs too. I'll see if I can get through a song I wrote. I wrote this about finding all these things on the farm. I found 2 lost homesteads that no one even knew was there. I found 2 wedding rings. One of them, the first one I found it in the spring where they were getting their water. And this is just a hole in the ground, you understand. Just literally water coming out of the ground. And the ring was down about 18 inches deep. And I found toys and Civil War relics and all kinds of things back there. And so I just put it all together and wrote this song. And whether I can sing it or not, I don't know if I'll remember it. I'll probably screw it up. Sarah married John in '64. In that same year he marched off to war, leaving Sarah in the valley all alone. But that would change soon after he had gone. She washed the baby's clothes in the nearby spring, and it was there she lost her precious wedding ring. Feeling more alone, she longed for his return. The nights were long as her heart would yearn. Then 160 years pass into view, when her precious wedding band was found anew, as if her soul were there for all to see. Sarah, John, and the baby. The war raged on as Sarah made her way. The baby grew more like John every day. She prayed that one day soon the war would end. Then she'd see John coming round the bend. And despite the odds, John made his way home. And though weak and sick, Sarah would hang on, till the baby's daddy held him to his breast, allowing Sarah to find eternal rest. Then 160 years pass into view, when her precious wedding band was found anew, just as if her soul were there for all to see. Sarah, John, and the baby. Sarah, John, and the baby. Yeah, I forgot I had an A minor in there. If you've just joined in, if you're out there, excuse me, I can't tell you're out there because for whatever reason, this thing deteriorated again, and now the chat is not showing up. No live people are showing up. It doesn't show me any viewers at all. And at the moment, I can't remember how to get that back, so I'm just testing to see if it crashes the mic. That's all I'm doing. If you're wondering why I'm just rambling and playing weird stuff and doing stuff, that's what I'm doing. Just basically filling up time, hoping to see if the longer I go, if this thing will last or if it's going to crash. And I may just go an hour or two. You just never know. There's a little mountain church in my thought of yesterday, where friends and family gather for the Lord. There an old-fashioned preacher taught the straight and narrow way for what few coins a congregation could afford. Dressed in all our Sunday best, we sat on pews of solid oak. I remember how our voices filled the air, and how Mama sounded like an angel on those high soprano notes. When the roll was called up yonder, I would be there. Looking back now, that little mountain church house has become my life's cornerstone. It was there in that little mountain church house I first heard the word to base my life upon. At the all-day Sunday singings, we'd have dinner on the ground. Many were the souls that were revived, while the brothers and the sisters who'd gone on to glory land slept in peace in the maple grove nearby. Looking back now, that little mountain church house has become my life's cornerstone. It was there in that little mountain church house I first heard the word to base my life upon. Yes, I first heard the word to base my life upon. Well, if this is going live, and if there are people listening, thank you for listening. I'll probably be crazy embarrassed when I see this played back. That's okay, I've been embarrassed before. If you're wondering why I'm testing it, it's because I did make several changes, and I wanted to see if those changes might be the reason that the mic was freezing up. I read and found places on there that said that the USB ports can be your problem with your mic freezing. So I, because the camera is plugged into the back, and I plugged the mic into the front now. I had them both plugged into the back, and they said using the same bus can cause it to freeze. So I plugged the mic into the front bus, and the camera's in the back bus. Maybe, it's just there's no way to know these things until you test them out. And I do my recordings here in the background where you don't see those and test it that way, but that only froze one time that way anyway, so that's not been a very good reliable test. It's froze 3 times when I go live. Of course it would, of course it would. Why would it freeze when I'm testing it when nobody can see it? It has to freeze when everybody can see it. That's just kind of the nature of stuff that I do. Oh, I don't know, this is an old Billman wrote tune that he wrote on instrumental. It's not that old, actually. It's one of his more modern, later tunes, I think, called Right Right On. At least I think it is. Random, very random. Everything's random. As you can tell, I don't have anything planned. I'm just killing time to see if it's going to freeze. Let's see. Back in the 80s, farms were being foreclosed upon like crazy. And every night on the news back in the 80s, I remember them giving a foreclosure count on all the farms that were foreclosed on that day. It reminded me exactly of the body count that they used to give back in the 60s when they would say how many soldiers were killed during the Vietnam War. And it was every night, you know, they would tell you how many soldiers were killed. Well, it was exactly the same kind of thing, and it seemed just as sad to me when they were saying how many farms were being foreclosed upon. All the small farms were being foreclosed upon, and the people, you know, the small farmer was being put out of business. So that way of life just went away by the wayside. And so I wrote this song. The other contributing factor to this song was I was sitting in a person's office at work, and they happened to have a farmscape on their wall. It was a picture. And the picture was of an erosion ditch down through the middle of a farm. And it looked like that farm was dying because of that erosion ditch. And so the two things combined is why I wrote this. I'm an old dirt farmer. I scrape a living from the soil. Like my father before me, I labor and toil. But my father said, son, you should move away. He said, farm life is dying. Son, please don't stay. So I moved to the city, and I tried to fit in. I thought of my father and how the crops would get in. But I could hear him say, son, you should move away. Said farm life is dying, and son, please don't stay. I returned for a visit, but I was too late. My father lay dying, and I knew it was fate. But he turned and said, son, you should move away. But I just couldn't leave him, and he knew I would stay. Now I'm an old dirt farmer, scrape a living from the soil. And like my father before me, I labor and toil. Yeah, I've always lived I've worked in the city, worked for Southwestern Bell, designed computer systems, etc. and so forth, but I've always been on a farm in my heart. Always have. And so when I got the opportunity to buy this farm, it was a no-brainer to me, especially on the kind of a steal deal I got on it. It was one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, and it was just an unbelievable, incredibly cheap deal. You couldn't pass it up. It would have been a stupid thing to pass up, even if you didn't want to live on the farm. You just would have had to buy it and resell it to make some money, because it was just that kind of a deal. Anyway, let's see, what else can I do for my test here? And I'm still watching the mic, and it's still bouncing, so I'm assuming it's still working. And there's no way to know whether or not it really is even working, because I can't tell from this end, and I'm not getting any feedback from you all. because the chat's not working for whatever reason. That's the first time ever that the chat's not worked, ever. And I've put out hundreds of these live episodes. It's just hard to explain how the Rosa luck goes sometimes. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. Anyway, let me think if I can think of something else. I don't know. The fingers just don't work hardly well enough to pick anything anymore. Let's see. This is a tune I wrote. I built a mandolin for a little girl named Jenny Vaughn. And I think she was 11 when I built her the mandolin. And she was one of my early mandolin students. This was probably back in it was probably in the early 2000s. Anyway, she loved her little mandolin, and the day I finished it, I wrote this tune, and I just named the tune Jenny Vaughn. And whether I can play it and even remember how it goes is a totally different issue. We worked that up one time in the band. It was pretty cool because what we did was we made it real black and white up and down on the first part, like that part you just heard. We went da 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 da. So the first part went like that. And then when we got all the way through the song, then we sped the rhythm up twice speed. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Then the F part. If I could just play as good as I can think of melodies in my head, and I can't do it. I mean, I can't play what I can hear in my head. It would be pretty amazing if I could just play what I can hear in my head. I truly can't do it. You know, if I was somebody like the Chapmans, you know, those guys down there, Jeremy Chapman especially on the mandolin, if I was as good as him, you would just be amazed what you'd be hearing coming out of the mandolin, because I have so many tunes in my head. And I just can't play them. I literally cannot play them. But if I could play like Jeremy or one of those other really good mandolin players, it'd be amazing. It would just be amazing. I'd even impress myself. So I'm just kind of handicapped that way. I can only do what I can do, and not much more than that. And I don't know a thing about formal music. I don't know a thing about it. I don't know the first thing about it. I don't know a treble clef from a eighth note or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, I sort of basically do, but that's all I know about it is just kind of what the shape looks like. Couldn't read music if my life depended on it. If you had a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you what the note was. So there's that too. You got somebody that's handicapped, can't play right, and then can't read music, but he's got music just going crazy through their head, so I can't get it out to anybody. Let's see. Did there at the end, but anyway, the part of that was sort of played right was Nashville Blues, I think is what it's called. I was just wondering if there's a search on here where the chat window is supposed to be. I'm just going to type chat in there and see if it does something. No, it's got a chat channel. Well, it's got me signing in again. Open a web browser. Hey, we might get it. Of course, now my screen's gone blank. Sorry, live chat is currently unavailable. Well, isn't that pleasant of it? Isn't that pleasant? It's like I can't win for losing. So it's just unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. It's really hard to put it in words. If you would think that the odds of the way things happen to me couldn't possibly happen, but they do. It's just amazing. And they'll just be one right after another, after another, after another. And I've just gotten used to it my whole life. It's just always been like that. So I sometimes I get pretty darn upset about it because I know it should just be a lot simpler. But other times I just let it roll off, like right now. It just rolls off. Anyway, it's still going. According to this, the mic's still... I've been going live for almost 30 minutes. And I'm planning to keep going and see if this mic will freeze up because I don't know what caused it. In fact, I'm going to click around on a screen or two just to see if that triggers it. I just kept clicking around on different screens. Nope, that didn't cause it. So there you go. Got to do stuff to test it, I guess. Let's see. In South Carolina, there are many tall pines, and I remember the oak trees that we used to climb. But whenever I want you, always pretend that I'm getting the feel of the hickory wind. I started out younger, had most lost everything, all the riches and pleasure. What else could life bring? But it makes me feel better each time it begins, calling me home to the hickory wind. It's a hard thing to find out. The trouble is real. In a faraway city, with a faraway feel. But it makes me feel better each time it begins, calling me home to the hickory wind. And now when I'm lonesome, I always pretend that I'm getting the feel of the hickory wind. Oh. Once again, if you've just joined me, I can't tell. There's no count on the screen. There's no chat on the screen. It says we're live and says we've been live for 33 minutes exactly. But I can't tell one way or the other. I'm just testing this thing to see if the microphone freezes up. That's all I'm doing. And I'm just going to keep going and just keep embarrassing myself. That's what I'm going to do. Let me see here if I can think of another one. I don't know if I can do this one or not. Speaking of the Chapmans, this is one of their songs on one of their albums. It's a beautiful song. It's called The Photograph. I've got to hand it to you. You've got a great attitude, and you keep that gleam in your eye much better than I when the chips are down. It always shows on your face. That look just gives it away. Guess that's the beauty of you, your love shining through on the darkest day. You don't ever stop smiling. You don't ever look like anything's gone wrong. You're there on my wall to remind me of all the love we had. I just look at you there. When sometimes I swear I hear you say everything is okay, it'll be alright. Wish I had your point of view. Almost forgot. See things the way that you do. 'Cause it ain't all black and white. Just living my life and missing you. You don't ever stop smiling. You don't ever look like anything's gone wrong. There's a minor there that I'm hitting the wrong thing. It's there on my wall to remind me of all the love we had. You don't ever stop smiling. You don't ever look like anything's gone wrong. You're there on my wall to remind me of all the love we had. It's tough to sing when you're just trying to cough the whole time. If you're wondering why I'm coughing so much, it's my allergies. They've got a hold on me and they won't turn loose. So I have no business singing, playing, doing any of this right now. It's just that I've got to get this figured out, what the problem is creating this, because I want to do our live shows at the end of every month. And at the rate I'm going right now, it's going to take me to the end of the month to figure out what the problem is, because it's not an obvious problem. I can tell you that for sure. If it was obvious, you can bet I would have already figured it out, because I do know quite a bit about PCs. And like even this chat problem, I'm sure I know how to fix it, or I can get that fixed. It's just that I can't fix it while we're live here right at the moment without just spending lots of time trying. So anyway, some days you guys are going to believe when I say it's not easy being me. Because trust me, it ain't. Oh, what else could I do? Oh, might as well do my silly song. I wrote this song. I was leaving a jam session. This was in the early 2000s. Might have even been the late 99, 98 time frame. I can't think, it was early 2000s. And I was already out the door of the jam session going home, and a guy grabs me by the arm, my right arm, because it wasn't quite out the door yet. He grabbed it, and he pulls me back through the door. And he says, "Hey, wait. He says, I heard you could write a song about anything." And he says, I need you to write this song. I said, "Well, I don't know where you heard that, but I have written a lot of songs." And he says, I need for you to try to write this, because I've been trying to write it for 3 years, and I can't get past the first line. And I said, "Well, boy, it must be a humdinger of a first line," is exactly what I said to him. He goes, "Well, it is." And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he says, Have you ever wished you were somewhere else, but when you got there, you wished you weren't?" I said, "Well, that is quite a mouthful." And now, keep in mind, it was 1 mile up to the highway. It was 7 miles down to my exit, and then 3 miles to the house. So that's 11 miles total. And I'm not exaggerating about this at all. When I got to the house, I was completely finished with the song. So all I had to do was go into the typewriter and type it down, or, computer, and write it down. So it goes something like this. Now, whether or not I can remember it and play it right and all that, that's a totally different issue. But here, I'll give it my best shot. Have you ever wished you were somewhere else, but when you got there, you wished you weren't? Like the doctor's office or the DMV or somewhere that you work. Well, that's my whole life story. And if you listen to my sad tale, I'm gonna tell you why I had to spend 10 years in the Tupelo County Jail. You see, I went to the doctor's office, 'cause that's where my baby worked. And I was fixing to surprise her, so I put on my best shirt. But when I got to the doctor's office, well, it was me that got surprised. 'Cause there she sat on the doctor's lap, wearing nothing but her big blue eyes. Well, she jumped up and she turned well red, and that was a color I could see. 'Cause it was just as well, 'cause now there was nothing between that old doc and me. So I went for my knife, then I thought twice, and I grabbed an old bedpan, and I swung it like Mighty Casey. I was aiming for the grandstand. Now the coroner's report told it all real well, and I was charged with fumicide. It's a combination of the bedpan and old-fashioned homicide. Well, the judge just laughed and threw the book at me, but then I guess he had a second thought. And that was the break in the case for me, 'cause 10 years was all I got. Have you ever wished you were somewhere else, but when you got there you wished you weren't? Well, that's my whole life story. It kept me from finishing first. I guess I'm a victim of circumstance. You've heard my sad tale. Well, now you know why I spent 10 years in the Tupelo County Jail. Yeah, I guess I'm lucky, only spent 10 years in the Tupelo County Jail. There you have it. Just like me, I'm a victim of circumstance. That's why I can't tell you're out there, and that's why I can't see any chats right now. The only thing I hope is that you're laughing with me and not at me. Even though I know a few of you will be laughing at me. I can handle a few of you. Let's see. I've written so many songs it's impossible to remember them all. I mean, I've written well over 100. Let's see. What else could we do here? All right, if you're following along, we're in D. On the banks of the river, where the willows hang down, the wild birds all warble with a low moaning sound. Down in the hollow, where the waters run cold, it was there I first listened to the lies that you told. I lie on my bed and I see your sweet face. The past I remember, time cannot erase. The letter you wrote me, it was written in shame, and I know that your conscience still echoes my name. The nights are so long, Lord, sorrow runs deep, and nothing is worse than a night without sleep. I walk out alone and look at the sky, too empty to sing, too lonesome to cry. If the ladies were blackbirds, if the ladies were thrushes, lie there for hours in the chilly cold marshes. If the ladies were squirrels with their high bushy tails, I'd fill up my shotgun with rock salt and nails. Well, my friends, I did not write that one. I just want I want to be clear. I don't want everybody thinking I wrote all these. If I wrote them, I tell you I wrote them. So if I didn't tell you, then I didn't write it. Oh, I am just choked up. And not in a good way. The wind is blowing out there or something. Something's really creating a ruckus out there right now. Let's see. Let me try this one here. I only do this song because I get to say the guy's name who made it famous. He was killed in a plane wreck along with Patsy Cline. His name was Hawkshaw Hawkins. Had our number changed today, although I hated to. For every time the phone would ring, they'd want to speak to you. And it hurt to tell them you're not here with me. So maybe now, old telephone, you'll let me be. It's not in the book now, you better write it down, just in case your love for me should ever come back around. You might want to call and break the news to me, so just call Lonesome 77203. I keep the phone beside me almost all the time, hoping that you'll call and say you changed your mind. If you do, then darling, you'll know where I'll be. So just call Lonesome 77203. You're the only one I've given our new number to, so that if the phone would ring, well then I'll know it's you. If you ever long for love that used to be, well just call Lonesome 77203. And I'll accept the charges you can call collect to me. So just call Lonesome 77203. I sped that up a little bit just to get through it quicker, since it's only me. But that little tag on the end there, you know, I worked for AT&T, Southwestern Bell, so I just felt that that little tag was appropriate. I'll accept the charges you can call collect to me. And kids these days won't even know what that means with their cell phones, etc. Let's see, what else have I got here? I'm going to try to go for at least an hour because, yeah, just because. I got to see if this thing's going to crash. And there's no telling when it will or if it will crash. And just for grins, I'm going to switch screens again just to see if that makes a difference. Just do it real quick. So far, that didn't make any difference. Try this. Every time it rains, Lord, I run to my window. All I do is just wring my hands and moan. And listen to that thunder roar. Can't you hear that lonesome wind moan? So tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? Tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? You been gone so long now. Tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? The wolf scratching at my door, Lordy, Lordy, and I can hear that lonesome wind moan. So tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? Somebody said they thought they saw you roaring down in Reno with a big old man from San Antonio. They tell me I'm a fool to pine for you, but what do they know? So tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? Tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? You been gone so long now. Tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? The wolf's scratching at my door, Lordy, Lordy, and I can hear that lonesome wind moan. So tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? Ain't nothing I'd rather do, so I think I'll just get stoned and let my past paint pictures in my head and kill the fifth of thunder bourbon and try to write a sad, sad song. So tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? Tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? You been gone so long now. Tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? The wolf's scratching at my door, Lordy, Lordy, and I can hear that lonesome wind moan. So tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? Oh, tell me, baby, now why you been gone so long? One last time, if you're just joining me, I can't tell you're out there. Number one, it says there's 0 viewers. It says I'm still live. It says I've been live for 51 minutes exactly right now. And I can't see any chat or anything, so there's no point in even typing it in unless you just want to amuse yourself, because I can't tell. It's just crazy how stuff happens. Let's see, what else could I do? Oh, I'll see if I can get through Kentucky Waltz. Now, I play this out of E, which is unusual. Well, it's sort of sounded like Kentucky Waltz. Oh, let me try this one. It can happen any moment, without reason or rhyme. It might be right around the corner, or it will come up from behind. The picture that I thought would fade, I still clearly see. And that's when the thought of you catches up with me. It can happen on a Sunday drive, the sky above a shade of blue, driving down some lonesome highway, and then you come into view. And mile after mile goes by, and you are all I see. That's when the thought of you catches up with me. When the thought of you comes into my mind, it will carry me away to a better place and time. It can happen in the dead of the night, or any day of the week. Sometimes you'll come and find me when I'm in bed asleep. Then I'll have that dream about you. Oh, I love what I see. And that's when the thought of you catches up with me. That's when the thought of you catches up with me. Oh, the thought of you is caught up with me. I keep hearing things outside. I do not know what that noises are. Oh well, just have to live with it. It's been 55 minutes and 55 seconds to that moment right there, and it hasn't frozen that I can tell. Did I fix it? I doubt it. It's going to lure me into a false sense of security. And it's going to say, it's fixed. And then the first time I go live for real, it's going to just say, I already know that's coming. I'm playing in front of a green screen, in case you didn't know. And you can see where I get off the section there. I've got it zoomed in. That's where the camera's zoomed into right there. And the other side would be right there. So, you know, if I could, I guess if I'd stay over this way a little bit, it wouldn't run off so much. But anyway, you know, it just ain't easy being me, and it ain't easy sitting still. So I'd take a request if you want to make one, except I can't tell you're making it because there's no chat. And I can't tell if there's anybody watching at all. I bet you there's not 7 people out there anyway. I'm playing the world's finest mandolin. Oh, look at that. How that's, I didn't expect that when no, that's weird. Oh, it's because that green screen is taking out that weird color there. I didn't know it would do that. That's weird. That's weird. I didn't know it would do that. Well, anyway, I'm playing the world's finest mandolin ever built by a human. And it's not really, but it's just that's what we called it on YouTube when we built it. And that was a goal. I was trying to build the world's finest mandolin ever built by a human. And the reason I tacked on the word human is because most of them are built by a machine these days. And do I think it's better than anybody else's? No, not really. Do I think it's as good as anybody else's? Yeah, probably. It's as good as just about anybody's. It's a darn good mandolin. I already turned down a whole lot more money than I should have, and probably should have had my head examined for turning it down. But I didn't build it to sell. I built this one to keep. So anyway, I'd show you close up, but it's just going to go green anyway, so there ain't no point in me showing it to you. I'll tell you, I didn't know that would happen on the green screen. Let's see, we got a few more minutes here to make it an hour, and I figured I might as well stretch it to an hour just to see if it would crash, and of course it didn't, which I'm happy about, you understand. It's just that I don't trust it. That's why it's so hard to test these things, because you can't make it happen. If I can make it happen, I can fix it. Because if you can make something happen, you can figure out what's causing it to happen, obviously. But when you can't make it happen and it just happens randomly, you're just guessing the whole time as to what caused the problem. Let me see. See if I can think of one more to. Okay, I'll end it with this song. This is a song, and I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again anyway. When I was about 18, I really couldn't play music. I could play maybe 3 chords on an instrument. But I started getting jealous because my brother, he was only 10 at the time, Scott, you've seen him on the channel, he could play anything and everything. I mean, like anything and everything, and I do not exaggerate, anything and everything. You could hand him a piccolo and he could play it. You could hand him a flute or a trombone or anything and he could play it. And I'm serious. I'm not making that up. So he was only 10 years old, just a musical genius, you know, and we were sitting on the back porch, and he was playing the piano, and I was playing the guitar. Well, all right, that's just kind of just a little foreshadowing of what happened, okay? So now, fast forward, now I'm 28. So from 18, now I'm 28 years old, and now I'm getting serious about playing music. And every time I would sit down to learn something, play something, whatever, this particular tune would come into my head. And I only knew like a first two verses of it, and I couldn't think of where did this tune come from. I mean, I couldn't think of where it came from. I had no idea, but it sounded like Marty Robbins. So I started asking all my friends. I had a bunch of friends that were DJs. I asked them if they knew this song. Oh, no, but it sounds like a Marty Robbins number. And so one of them gave me Marty Robbins fan club number, so I talked to them, and they said, well, that really does sound like Marty Robbins, but I don't know. I can't place it, and everybody kept saying the same thing. That was when I was 28. Now I'm 48. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm still looking for this song. I've been looking for it the whole time. And it wasn't like I quit. Anytime I got around anybody, I would ask them if they knew this song. So now I'm 48. And one day my brother was there. And, we didn't play very often together. So this particular time we were playing, and I said to him, I said, Scott, let me ask you, I've been looking for this song since I was 28 years old. And do you know where this song came from? He looks at me like I have three heads, and he's going, yeah, you big dummy. Except he didn't say dummy. He said something else. He said, I know exactly where it came from. I said, really? You do? Where did it come from? Because, I'm getting excited. He's going, well, you big idiot. And again, he didn't say idiot. You wrote it. I said, I did? He's going, yeah, you blankety blank. He says, you wrote it? You mean you've been looking for this all that time and you wrote the song and you didn't even know you wrote it? I said, no, I didn't know I wrote it. So I wrote it when I was 18. I wrote the first couple lines when I was 18. So as you hear this song, the first two, the verse and the chorus I wrote when I was 18. Then the next verse I wrote when I was 48 and finished it with the same chorus. So it goes like this. From where I stand, I can see all the lights of the city. For one man to love one woman so much, it's a pity. From where I stand, I can see the cantina she goes to, where she's not supposed to, but goes anyway. From where I stand, I can hear the music and laughter. Carmela tells me that's what her young heart is after. But I see it differently. I see her there with a man. Camilla is lying. I see it from where I stand. From where I stand, I can see the smiles on their faces. The music plays on as I watch their tender embraces. From where I stand, I can see her dress as it's swaying, and it seems to be waving goodbye to me. From where I stand, I can hear the music and laughter. Camilla tells me that's what her young heart is after. But I see it differently. I see her there with a man. Camilla's lying. I see it from where I stand. Camilla is lying. I see it from where I stand. Well, that's all she wrote, folks. That's it. Hour and 5 minutes worth of doodling. Just nothing, really. I guess it's fixed because it didn't crash. I won. I won again. Yeah, right. Till the first time I go live for real, and then that sucker will crash bigger than lightning. You can bet on it. Well, if you were joining me on this, and I don't know, but if you were, thank you. I hope you enjoyed something and got a good laugh out of it at least. But that's going to be the end of it. I'm through embarrassing myself for this session anyway. And now I get to go work on why the chat didn't work. Thank you very much. We'll see you next video.